Hello and welcome to Interactive CAD and Tech. Today I'm going to be going over how you legally fly in the UK, the DJI Mini 2. It's a drone I've actually purchased and I'm new to droning and the rules can be pretty confusing, so I thought I'd just tell you and do a little summary video on how you legally fly it in the UK, because you can get fined up to £1,000 and get prosecuted if you don't follow these rules. So just to start with a summary, flight classifications. So the UK Civil Aviation Authority now, after January 2021, classes flights in three categories. So you've got A1, A2 and A3. So A1 is flying over people. So if you're flying over people, you risk assess your flight and class your flight as an A1 flight. If you're flying close to people, it's an A2 flight. And if you're flying far from people, it's A3. So that's how the UK Civil Aviation Authority wants you to define your type of drone flying. It's very simple. If you're in a big open space like a public park, you probably still class it as A1 because you may fly over people that you don't know. And moving on from flight classifications, you also have drone classifications. So at the minute, this is the new rules. So under new regulations, drones will be marked from 0 to 4 in classifications. But the DJI Mini doesn't have a classification yet. So it's in limbo at the minute, which is kind of annoying and makes things a little confusing. So that's another reason why I made this video. So types of drones. So from the 1st of January 2023, new drones will have to meet a set standard and they will be classed from C0 to C4. But at the minute, because obviously the DJI Mini is not classed until January 2023, if your drone doesn't have a class marking, which the DJI Mini doesn't, and the drone is under 250 grams, which it is, it can be flown in the A1 subcategory. So that means that the DJI Mini can be flown in A1, A2, and A3 flight classification. So that's very good because it's not as restrictive as some heavier drones. So and then after the 1st of January 2023, drones under 250 grams, which is same against the DJI Mini 2. They can continue to fly in the A1 subcategory. So the restrictions for the DJI Mini 2 are not as bad as the heavier drones. So now we know what we're allowed to fly, what classification of flight we're allowed to fly. You need to license your drone. So there's two types of ID and registrations required in the UK. You have your flyer ID, which you need to apply for, and that's if you're responsible for flying the drone. An operator ID, which is when you're responsible for the actual drone and the aircraft. So, for example, if you have children that are under 18, the parents will have an operator ID and a flyer ID, and the children only need to have a flyer ID. So, I've got both because under the weight requirements, flying weight, your ID needed is below 250 grams, not a toy, with a camera. So that's the DJI Mini. So that by law, you're required to have an operator ID. But when I went on the website, I couldn't find how to get an operator ID and a flyer ID separately. So I just got both. And to be fair, to get the flyer ID, you have to do a theory test. And as an amateur, it came in handy to find out rules that I didn't know about. So I would recommend if you just bought a DJI Mini 2, getting the flyer ID and the operator ID. So the operator ID costs £9 and it's valid for a year, and the flyer ID is free and it's for 5 years. So I did it. You do it on the website. I'll put the links to get your flyer ID and operator ID in the description for this video. It's very simple to do. It says it can take up to half an hour to 50 minutes, and I'm a complete amateur, but it's just common sense. And I passed it in about 20 minutes. So once you've got your flyer ID and operator ID, you must label your drone. So once you've got your drone license, you must legally put your operator ID on your drone. So your operator ID must be visible from the outside or within a compartment that can be easily accessed without a tool. Clear block capitals taller than 3mm, secure and safe from damage on the main body of the aircraft. So I've got a sticker machine at work, so all I've done is print off a label, a neat label, and stuck that on my drone with my operator ID on. So I am legally compliant with the drone licensing. So drone rules, now you've got your drone licensed, are the basics are you always keep your drone in sight. You never fly in the UK above 120 meters above ground. Never fly closer than 50 meters to people, even if the drone is more than 50 meters away from people. It is safer to avoid directly flying over them. So legally, you can fly over them above 50 meters, but it's not recommended. Never fly closer than 50 meters to buildings, cars, trains, or boats. Never fly over crowds, even if it's and it also recommends you to stay 150 meters away from crowds. Same for tall buildings and built-up areas like city centres. Never fly near airports. Don't even go anywhere near. There's no point. You'll just get arrested or fined. And it's a legal requirement to show your operator ID. Let me just remind you as well, you are responsible for each flight. The person flying it, the operator and the flyer are legally responsible for flying your drone. Failure to fly responsibly could result in criminal prosecution. And like I said before, depending on what you're doing, it could be £1,000 fine or even a prison sentence. So that's why I thought I'd do this video, just to make it clear. Another thing you need to do is check your airspace. So most drones, like the DJI Mini, has a fly assist mode in it, where you can type in on the app where you're going, and it'll tell you any restrictions. If you haven't got that on your drone app, you can also use the NATS app, which is here, and it tells you about, for a double check, and it tells you about any risks you have currently in the area. So just a quick summary after that video of how you legally fly. So if you buy your DJI Mini 2, get it out of the box, here's a summary on how you fly it legally in the UK. So first thing you need to do is sign up for an operator ID and a flyer ID. So then label your drone with your operator ID. Pick a place to fly. Perform a flight risk assessment. So is it A1, A2, A3? Legally, you're allowed to fly the DJI Mini in all three categories of flying, but it's always good to check. Check airspace on your drone or NATS app. So that's just basically the NATS app, a picture of the NATS app there, showing you where not to fly, where you're legally and allowed not to fly. It's also good to check before you go, so you don't end up going somewhere with your drone and not being able to fly. And then all you have to do is follow the drone code and enjoy flying. I've enjoyed doing it. You're legally responsible as the drone owner. Always double check for rules changes. These rules are applied from January 2021. So they are due to change January 2023 if you're watching this video in the future. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you stay legally safe with your drones and enjoy flying. Thanks for watching, and if you could, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep making videos. Thanks for watching.